pick and ban up for game number 1. Ready to dive into this one. And first and foremost, Samsung will be taking away that Elise.
I mean, Elise has been BBQ's only performing jungler in the early game, and they kind of use her as a bridge to the late game comps they like to play. So banning that out makes a lot of sense. Do you ban out hyper carries? First ban they will do that's not targeted towards the jungle is the Jace, which has been Crazy's one-lane dominant top laner. It feels like a lot of top laners took inspiration from Khan and his 7-0 Jace. So we see it banned away in this game away from Crazy. And speaking of targeted bans, 14 games of Varus will be halted in this particular game. However, that means that something is likely to come through, and okay, Samsung surrenders some information to future teams. They actually banned Kalista on blue side.
Not interested in picking that one up, and yeah, can't let that one go through. The Zac will be banned away finally here by BBQ. So what do they want to do as far as that first pick
is a pretty big first pick for Crown in particular. There's a lot of champions you can take into it, but Crown is so good on Taliyah, you could understand first picking it, but they're not going to. They're going to take the Braum at first pick. It feels like a reach, but it could be combined with the Sejuani they played in the last series. Does potentially leave open Taliyah to Tempt. Taliyah is highly going to be contested, given that Tempt made his big name playing that Taliyah, getting the Pentakill with it in spring season, and the Alistar that I was hoping for, but God, I ended up getting a Blitzcrank. I was still happy, but the Alistar I was calling for will come in this time for Totoro.
And we'll also get the Corki here, likely going to be for Tempt in the mid lane.
So what about Syndra?
Quite a bit.
Will it be Syndra or Taliyah into Corki? Because both are available for Samsung to draft in. Maybe going a bit more conventional with the jungle by picking up the Rek'Sai. Has been overlooked in recent series, surprisingly. Does mean they have immense amount of early pressure on Pick CC and Crown. In a position where he could have gone Syndra for a skill lane matchup, could have gone for the Taliyah, another skill matchup. Will actually go for a counter matchup and try to hold down Tempt with the Cassiopeia.
Okay, well, I mean, we've seen, you know, especially from Faker, you think back to MSI, him versus Maple in that mid lane, just absolutely oppressing with the Cassiopeia. So this is going to be Crown giving his best go of it versus that Corki. And with the jungle pool pretty restricted, it's just going to be the Gragas coming through.
It's a bit of a surprise to see the Cassiopeia. Crown has certainly played it in previous seasons, but it's his first game of Cassiopeia in summer season. And usually he's the sort of player that will default to what has been working for him in competitive play recently, rather than look for lane outplays. You already said it, mastery player who usually has a smaller champion pool. So many of his picks work fine into Corki. You can play Victor, you can certainly play Taliyah. Could have gone for Galio, could have gone a lot of different directions, but actually chose the counter pick route. Miasma's very powerful against Corki because it stops him from going for non-committal trades and getting out with the Valkyrie. So different type of look from Samsung, maybe trying to show us something a bit different, put some doubts into the heads of other teams as we're fast approaching the playoffs. And look at this, Cuvey's drawing a Jax ban.
Yeah, and then they ban away the Camille. So don't want that going over to Crazy for their first pick of the second half here. So lots of top lane target, and Twitch will be banned away by BBQ as well, just trying to limit Ruler as much as they possibly can. But Ashe is still on the board, and seems like that might just be the pickup here unless Ghost goes for it himself.
Really surprising to see the Jax ban. Maybe that's from scrims. If you look at the solo queue account, not a lot of Jax coming through from Cuvey, and never been the sort of player to play it. So tough to read that. 3 top lane bans in the second round. Looking for top lane and also the mid lane from BBQ. So ostensibly looking for those solo laners. Jarvan's been a big pick for Cuvey. Has also been kind of the big meta top laner after the big shift recently with Rift Rivals and the LPL teams piloting a lot of that Jarvan. And they take it, and now they have Gragas, Jarvan. Both these champions put significant pressure on Cassiopeia in particular. With her medium to short range, she can be heavily pressured by these two.
I mentioned the Ashe available, but also is that Xayah, and they will be locked. It will be locked in here for Ruler.
Well, Samsung's showing new stuff today. That's what they've decided that they will do after their week off. They will show new picks in both mid lane and AD carry. First ever pick of Xayah for Ruler. First of the season for Crown on the Cassiopeia. Finally, a bit of normalcy going for the Kled. We haven't seen much Kled at all.
Yeah.
And it's actually going to be a Corki AD carry from BBQ. Okay. So that's the first time also for another thing.
Yeah, throwing a curveball here. So Corki will be flexed down to the bottom lane here for Ghost.
Crown's like the one time I counter pick for lane. They flex the damn Corki. What's the chances of that happening? So he will actually be into the Orianna, which is a comfortable matchup early for Cassiopeia, but does get better over time for the Ori.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the ones that was, you know, kind of brought back Orianna out of the meta for so long, and Cassiopeia became oppressive. People figured out, okay, you know what, Orianna can actually hold up to that cast very early on. So we'll just get that little flip around and maybe surprise Samsung here.
And this is definitely the screw you crown comp, where they have the most initiation and an Ori to also profit off it. Jarvan, Gragas, and Orianna is literally
all the ball
Cassiopeia
carriers.
can never do anything because she'll just be, if your flash is down in lane as Cassiopeia, you just get collapsed upon every time.
I mean, the Alistar's there as well. So
it's definitely screw you.
They just have all of these methods of just pushing the ball in. Even in desperate times, you can have Corki, Falcon, or package his way in.
But Samsung showing new stuff. The Cassiopeia, that's new for this season, but the Xayah, first time for Ruler. We have to see how that one will shape up.
Yeah, and things being swapped around here. Cass into Orianna for Crown. Let's see how he handles it as we load up for game number 1. Alrighty, well, here we go. Fans in the audience cheering for their favorite teams. And Totoro, of course, he's got that Alistar skin.
Does that mean we're going to get the cowbell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some sick cowbell going on. I don't know what... Oh, this guy's going to the army soon. So gets to show up and enjoy some LCK action before he heads off to do his military service.
Must be that time of the year as one of the intakes come in and we got the cowbell. I like how in our other league we get it, and in this league we get the cowbell. It's a little bit more situational, but we still get the cowbell.
He's just not fazed by it at all.
It's pretty tilting, but it's pretty amazing also.
It really is. Like, the cowbell is the one step above showing your mastery after you get a kill. You just start jamming out right at the end.
Well, it doesn't have the same cooldown as the mastery. You can just spam it forever.
That's true.
It's way better, actually.
That's the one thing that I always like about the international events is, or one of the things I should say, not the one thing.
Yeah, it's the only thing you like.
The only thing I like. No, the coordinated team flare spam that they can put out to replace the mastery, where it just has the team logos. That stuff's always great to see. Cube just going to be finding crazy up here.
I'm happy to see him on the Kled because it's been a while. It's been about 3 match weeks before we've seen the most recent Kled. Jarvan replaced Kled pretty heavily after Rift Rivals, and Kled was kind of falling off. Ixu, I believe, played the last game. It's been a while for Cube, even though he's played 10 games. They were kind of front-loaded in the first 4 weeks of the season. And then we got a Corki 80 carry. First skill going to be
Blast from the past.
the Gatling gun.
When's the last time we had Corki as an ADC?
It was quite common in 2015 spring when I was casting LPL. And then it feels like from 2016 onwards, it was almost exclusively mid lane. There was a couple of 80 carry flexes when you try to be super tricky, but often when you did it, it almost felt like you put your comp in a bad spot with how tricky you were trying to be. So remain to be convinced on it. And it's also BBQ kind of going against identity, because this is much more about coordinated engage and deletion with the Orianna Shockwave than about peeling for their 80 carry. So it's a different identity from BBQ than what's been working for them in the past 2 weeks or so.
Just slow and steady so far. Ambition paying a bit of a visitation up there towards that top side. Not finding anything yet. So can just continue on with his jungle path. And I'm very excited, like you said, first time that we're seeing Ruler play the Xayah. Given his positioning that he showed off with that Varus, it seems like he could do very dirty things with this Xayah as far as
so this is a fun stat. Was able to draw this up. Shout out to Games of Legends, great interface. In Season 7, through the course of this year, there has been 413 games of Corki across the major regions. 410 in mid lane, 3 at 80 carry, and Reckless did play it at Rift Rivals. So a couple people playing around with that. Was on the same patch, you remember, as they played 713 at Rift Rivals, but only 3 games, 1 and 2 on the Corki, so certainly being an edge meta pick at best.
Well, here we go, Ambition showing up here in the mid lane, flashes in for the knock-up. Miasma thrown down as Tempt will go ahead and have to flash away, almost dies. First blood just barely out of grasp here for Samsung, but they get damn close.
Another Twin Fang may have been enough. There's about 100 HP there left over. I'm bringing back a pick. He's played pretty consistently in the past, but not this season. Already mentioned the matchup against Ori does start going the way of Ori later in the laning phase. This one's going to be just a farm fest in bot lane.
When you retake the brush, you have to start spamming the cowbell, Totoro.
So one of the reasons...
assert your dominance.
That's true. And asserting your dominance is something he did at level 1, but was met with a Q. Quite rude from Core JJ.
Interrupting his song.
One of the reasons why AD carry Corki is a little bit less prized, it's not necessarily about the magic damage, the other factors we usually talk about. It's you hit your power spike a bit slower, and you scale with levels so strongly as Corki. It's not big. A lot of damage there, Totoro, but you scale with levels so extensively that you're just going to have less access to experience, and you don't have that sweet one-item power spike as strong and as early as if you're a mid-lane Corki. Also, he just does well in basically every lane and is so safe, and some of those things are less relevant. Your safety in terms of a 1v1 against the enemy carry is less relevant when you have a support to your side in the bot lane.
Crazy, really trying to get the...
Got the smite.
Be able to get that. He has been thrown down, but he has the body slam in time. Maybe we'll get out of there. Playing very aggressively, but knew he could do so because Crown had gone back to base. This is going to be the tier start for him, as you might expect. Double door entering here for Tempt, so a bit of a budget build to try to survive this harass. They'll be coming through.
Didn't really have too many options when he backed with about 400 gold. Okay, there's the ghost from Guys was to all in Tempt.
He knows that he doesn't have the heal or the flash, and he might just have the damage. Two more hits will do it. One more, can he get it? Oh, the poison taken away. He will get the first blood. Flashes away from Bless. Crown just coming up with that solo kill.
And it has not been recently that Crown has been able to be the one to carry his team through mid lane. They've struggled to do that, as they've often had to have him on utility picks, while other lanes, Ruler and Court JJ or Cuvee, were the stars. So see Crown get a solo kill is really big from the side of Samsung, because if this man gets in form, and with his side lanes looking so good, Samsung really are set up to succeed as we move to the playoffs.
Yep. Bishan just getting a bit of a takeaway here. Sees that Bless doesn't have much mana, but still not looking to go in. So Tempt is coming back from base. In the meantime, bottom lane looking for a bit of a trade, but Ruler not going to have that Winter's Bite come through from Core JJ to try to get the connection. The root down, stun in onto Totoro, just trying to target out this Alistar, it would seem, but now the slow up exhaust going to be invested. Ghost will have a Valkyrie to take himself out safely, but let's see Samsung just very much dictating the pace of this bot lane exchange.
Yeah, Alistar Corki just don't necessarily have the biggest laning phase power to be able to actually dictate to the Xayah and Braum, so pretty comfortable stuff so far from Ruler, even if not able to grow a CS advantage. Ambition playing almost exclusively in the enemy jungle recently, pathing around top lane as both top laners have hit level 6.
I mean, there's no vision right now for Crazy up here. So, would be susceptible to getting jumped on if Ambition decides to wrap around, but they just saw that scrying plant go off. So they know that he's nearby. Bless walking in, Petrifying Gaze comes through.
Miasma was late there. I maybe was on cooldown, unaware what the story was there for Crown.
Either way, just chunking out the Gragas won't be enough to send him back to lane because he has that built-in sustain. Crown just investing that, just trying to flex up where he can. Has a little bit of time before Tempt gets that flashback, but now that the Petrifying Gaze is down, likely will not be finding another solo kill at the moment. At least not with, you know, maybe he can get a kill, but it will require a gank from Ambition.
Who has, like you say, mostly been setting up around top to baby the Kled through the laning phase. Never the strongest before items start coming in, so a little help can go a long way for how this matchup we expect to develop, where he really does have all-in options against Crazy as the game goes on.
He's got that Tiamat now, so we'll be in a pretty nice spot. Could keep up and see us a bit closer here.
It's fun that you can kind of look at Crown's solo queue and work out what he's feeling good about in his last 7 days, 5-1 on Cassiopeia, so he's like, all right, feeling it. And he is that sort of feel player. For anyone wondering if he has a new champion in his history, the answer is no. He very rarely does.
Yeah.
But with Syndra available, with Taliyah available, him going Cassiopeia was a left turn, and champion pool flexibility for Crown has never been something that Samsung has needed, but showing that he has it kind of reminds me of when SKT a couple of years ago showed Zillion when only KT Rolster were playing it as kind of a mind game of, hey, we can do this too.
Yeah.
So having Crown play different stuff adds the mind games for the more difficult matches as the weeks go on.
Yeah, that was what, right before they went into the telecom war against KT?
Yep.
They're just like, hey, look, a Zillion. How you feeling, Fly?
We don't see Zillions anymore, sadly, in our league.
We don't see Fly anymore either, which means that we lost Aurelion Soul.
That's true. We still have Scepted.
Oh,
he's been doing good.
But, well, he's been doing well. Ever8.
Hey, they won a match. Can we at least be slightly optimistic about Ever8?
Yeah, I mean, hey, good job. You got the game win. Same with BBQ. I'm optimistic. I just need to see some further progression. Keep that ball rolling. Don't let it halt.
Optimism for this particular game. It started to go awry. I always get a bit narrow-eyed when I think about Ghost and going for the Corki and kind of changing what was working, which for BBQ really was the protect the hyper carry comp. If you look back at their series against Afrika Freaks, game 1 and 2, protecting the hyper carry, then game 3, one of the worst drafts we've seen so far in the summer season. That was the Jace Nidalee Talia Trist Braum comp that fell behind and could never do anything.
Looking for it yet again, but this time Temp doesn't have that flash. So Ambition just going to be exchanging. But yet again makes Temp that much more susceptible, so maybe Crown can just come up with another solo kill.
To be clear, this draft certainly can do things. Not as narrow focus as that draft I mentioned, but Ghost jumping on the Corki. Also, how narrow focus it is on the Orianna getting ahead may prove to be problems for BBQ.
Drink started up. They have unique vision. As you can tell, there's just 3 sources right in front of the pit. One of them being that control ward. Of course, JJ here is here to back up, and with the assistance of Crown, they should take this down very swiftly. Get that nice little bit of added sustain.
And they profit off of the lane control they had in bot lane. They've been able to push it up whenever they've wanted to. Corki's wave clear and pushing ability in bot lane isn't as strong as it is in the mid lane.
Oh boy, it's another Ocean.
Hey, it's not bad for Cassiopeia in particular. If you're going to have 2 Oceans, make them the first 2 spawns.
This is true. No, that 40-minute. Well, 40-minute.
Oh, baby.
I mean, guess if nobody wanted to take the Ocean Drink for the longest time, it could be at 40 minutes. Which has happened.
28:59. The previous Drake was taken, and then just leave it on the map for 6 minutes.
Yeah, whatever.
So able to freely push in bot lane with the kill in mid lane. Crown's had basically complete run of the lane. And in top lane, they've been able to push as well. So 3 pushing lanes, so much map control for BBQ. It does mean there's gank opportunities for Bless with overextended members, but vision has been strong situationally across the map. Now largely focused on bot side after being top side earlier. Means that so far, no cost to all the pushing that Samsung has been doing.
That's just finding a nice little ward to clear out, but things going rather slowly here, 12 minutes into the game. 1,500 gold lead overall for Samsung. Turks haven't really been taking too much damage at the moment. QV does get popped off the Scarl, and he has that ear-piercing scream.
Yeah, but the upside of the Scarl sounds is that when he remounts, it's one of the best sounds in the game. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's very triumphant.
It is.
For a coward, and we're going to have a pause. Oh, boy.
Oh, I wonder what the problem is. Is there a skin issue?
It's the 12-minute skin issue. I just noticed. This
seems to be with Ambition on our screens. We'll let you know if OGN gives us any extra details.
Seems to be maybe a peripheral problem. Okay, so it looks like his mouse is not functioning at the moment, so we will go ahead and get that taken care of. Maybe swapped out. We have our handy little lower third to tell you.
Yeah.
In case you're watching with no audio on.
First time in a while we've had a mouse issue and it wasn't peanut related.
This is true. But I mean, he just decided to choose the worst mouse that you could ever have as a pro gamer in 2017.
You know what's bad where, there's a rule that you have to have backup peripherals and it's hard to find replacement mice.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have
impossible.
A very old mouse like Peanut uses.
Like if somebody from Logitech is watching, I would love an MX518 because those things are expensive if you want to buy them brand new. So if there's just a stockpile of that mouse.
This is not the platform for free stuff, Gilius.
I'll buy it.
I don't know what you were doing when you were in Shanghai, but we don't ask for free stuff on this stream.
I will buy it. I just want to know if I
Why is there no free chicken?
Well, see, now you're asking for free stuff.
I know. That was the joke. Do as I say, not as I do.
Okay.
I do say.
All right.
But hopefully this issue will be Fixed pretty quickly. Peripheral issue just means that we should have the replacement of mouse, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Depends on which one he uses. Ambition's been playing for a while. Maybe he's got one of those irreplaceable mice at this point.
I mean, at some point, someone just needs to tell him to change
just
the mouse.
Just get a different one, man.
Yeah, ghost screen as well. Maybe he needs a new chair.
He's using some, like, Windows 98 base, like, mouse from back in the day.
Well,
Okay.
even if it is, it's been sourced, it's been replaced.
All right.
Seems like Ambition has a mouse.
We'll go ahead and just continue on in the jungle, and it's really, I mean, the pause comes up, but basically in a pause right now because nothing's happening.
Well, Tread's Rush coming through for Ruler. Sometimes see Ninja Tabi on champions like Jin especially. If you're super behind, you might go Boots 2 to dodge skill shots, but well, Tread's this early. Seems to be very afraid of being locked up, but also the magic resist is going to help pretty extensively against Corki. So I guess against Corki in particular, the magic resist does have quite a lot of value, just like Ninja Tabi against other AD carries. Still surprisingly respectful, and does mean that the scaling build from the Xayah is going to take even longer to come together.
Yes, we'll delay it for a bit. Blue buff will get handed over. Ambition just a bit too late. Might have been able to take that, actually, if he was in position earlier, since the spike was used early by Bless.
Right now, BBQ need to really consolidate their resources to try to compete with the Vision. They have one River Ward across the entire map, and that is placed by Orianna, I believe, on the entrance to their own red side jungle. But for now, it's just been Samsung pushing lanes, being able to push in. It's why they have been able to amass 1,100 gold lead, 400 from the first blood, but the rest of it is just the CS that's been denied from BBQ to the tower, mostly. Also, imagine that turret HP has been working in their side, even if it is going to be only limited chunks.
Just chip damage coming through here and there. We'll go ahead and find that control ward, take it down. Rod of Age is completed for Crowns. Has that ticking upward as he continues to build up sacks on the tier of the Goddess.
Man, we made a straight line for the Trinity Force this game. That's very fast for a bot lane Trinity Force, but Doran Shield, Control Ward, and a Trinity Force. 14
minutes, Ambition. Almost ends up in a fight, but he makes it out of there. He's got tunnels, as it turns out. Now pushing in, we'll find Bless, who goes in on top of Crown, flashes away, gets knocked to the side by the explosive cask. Ambition maybe in a bit of a rough spot, will get stunned up by the Alistar, and that Shockwave completely going to miss. And now Crown, with the Petrifying Gaze, locks up onto Ghost. Glacial Fisher coming down as well. He is able to Valkyrie out to safety, but Totoro cannot say the same. BBQ lose so many summoner spells, and they still lose their support.
And that's the Invader's advantage you get when you've been able to push up, when you've been able to push in Vision. Excellent layering of CC, and like you say, Hula Hoop coming through from Tempt, who really needs to be the big damage dealer this game. They have a lot of setup for the Shockwave. Excellent ball carriers, as we talked about. Doesn't matter if you go wide on that ability. Sure, there wasn't ability power behind it, but it would have at least bought time and delayed. And they may actually just lose first brick from that botched team fight.
I mean, Ghost is pushing down there to try to poke out where he can, but only then he's doing this because he does have the package available to get himself out of here safely. But the turret will fall. And Samsung, they go ahead and they start accelerating the pace of the game. They will pick up a bit more of a gold lead as they move to about 2,500 ahead at this point.
And remember that fight was fought at the strongest possible point for Ghost. He had a straight-up Trinity Force already completed. That was the biggest item spike of any of the people involved in the fight in bot lane, but wasn't able to put it to great use. Essence Reaver now completed. A lot of Merc Treads on the side of Samsung. They know that layering of Initiation CC and the Shockwave is the real way that BBQ will put together a victory in this game, and that's why they are razor focused on being able to get out.
Vision just holding down the fort there in the bottom side, making sure that Ghost can't use that Trinity Force to get any free damage on the turret. So Samsung playing a very measured game. They're not overextending. They are just dictating the pace of this one, and they're not trying to go too ham.
I wonder what the AD carry Corki will do as we move into the mid to late game. Usually he will, of course,
die.
Well, that's definitely a possibility, given it's Samsung versus BBQ, but I'm more talking about, the standard play pattern for a Corki is pick up a package, go to a side lane, try to take turrets with your Trinity Force procs. That's still possible when it's a bot lane Corki, but you don't have the level leads and just the extra gold's worth of stats you get from the extra levels, HP in particular, to make that a pretty straightforward action. So, and also where the support will go while you're doing that is kind of in question as well. So, going to be just different expectations. We know exactly what a Corki looks like from the mid lane, but can just be that little bit different when it's a bot lane call.
See, trying to get the jump onto Crown, but instead they just go ahead and send the Blessed body slamming back to safety. Ocean Drake number 2 has spawn. Is already started up here by Samsung. See how much BBQ wants to fight over this one. Crazy does have that TP available, but it seems like this is just going to be a non-commitment here. We'll just watch that one go down, and it's going to be a third Ocean Drake.
Piling up, and 3 mountains this scenario, and you'd be razor-focused on Baron for Samsung with the Xayah, and specifically the Cassiopeia to DPS it down. Even Kled can do decent damage to Baron, but being Ocean, it's more just about the most comfortable tier timing you could ever hope for from Crown, who, when he hits 10 stacks with all the CS and the kill involvements he got, he is going to be a very powerful Cassiopeia.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at him. He's almost 30 CS above Tempt at the moment. In the meantime, up top, Cuvée should just be able to finish this one off. Yep. One more swipe. We'll find that. Instead, going to go forward. Just for a little bit of a trade on the Crazy, but he's going to flag and drag to take himself out. So second turret going down in favor of Samsung as they stretch to about a 4,000 gold lead.
You do start to realize that they kind of have 3 losing lanes. We kind of told it from...
That's not how you do that.
Nope. It was a bit of a fail play there, but the ability to put down vision, the minimap told the story, but also the CS values. Samsung are winning in every possible way. As BBQ just feels like they're on the back foot, and like you say, kind of onlookers watching as every early game objective goes over to Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, they're just kind of being robbed right now, BBQ. Everything that they want, every ward that they place down, Samsung's like, well, thank you. Just get that added little bit of gold to come through. Now they're looking for the Rift Heralds. They can start breaking down maybe these tier 2 turrets, perhaps just finish off the mid-outer.
I mean, BBQ knows they're taking the Rift Herald, but they don't really have the ability to contest it. We talked about, the ability to push up for Untara in Series 1, and it's kind of the case here is that all the objectives are kind of a checklist for Samsung to put together at this point in the game, but BBQ, even though they kind of have a copy of the checklist, they can't really contest anything because the item timings aren't there. They're being dictated to where they can be on the map by the control ward line. There's 4 damn control wards in the river. That's a Armada-esque play of just overwarding the river. Yeah. Basically, that says BBQ can never go anywhere near the river because it is entirely owned. It might as well be putting a flag on Mars here because there's no way getting through the river, ever.
Samsung just, they really want those Ocean Drakes. So, complete control right now over the game. We'll be flipping Crown down into the bottom side of the map. Send Ruler and Core JJ up to mid, just try to poke down Tempt, and then, get at that turret. It's almost at 50% already.
And when you get the CS lead, the pressure lead, when you get the kill on your enemy laner in a tough matchup, usually, hold the thought for a second.
Oh, well, that's going to be the jump in. Rise comes through as Cuvée will get knocked up into the air, looking for a bit of a trade back there on it goes, trying to lock him in underneath the turret, but, well, there's only so much you can do. In a 1v3, he will go down. In the meantime, Crown getting this wave, pushing in towards that tier 2 turret, so it's not going to be without consequence for BBQ.
Crown's actually walking up onto the wave and also the Orianna and zoning her away from the turret. That's awkward. I was going to say that, Crown is going to become a tank in this game. He's going to go Banshee Veil, Seraph's Embrace, and also a 10-stack Rod of Ages soon, and just laugh at the initiation wombo from BBQ, and there's that Rift Herald in the mid lane.
Yeah, gonna go ahead, finish that one off with the first charge. In the meantime, Ghost does have alone time in the bottom side of the map with that tier 2 turret, but he's feeling the pressures, knows that he has to respond to this Rift Herald play from Samsung, so we'll be going back with a recall, but if he had stuck around, actually probably could have knocked down that turret, but would have been in danger of getting killed.
I'm just getting worried that we may get to a point in the game where he just pops his Seraph shield, ignores the shockwave, and kills everyone because, yeah, he's got extra gold to go Banshee Veil. Second,
you're worried? I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, really? You're looking forward to the Cassiopeia just ignoring the enemy comp and profiting anyway?
Every time you see a Cassiopeia pop off, it's wonderful to see. So Crown, he's in a good spot, you'd have to say, right now.
So they're actually having to move the vision line that was so beautifully put together on the bot side. You can see every control ward moved. They weren't cleared, they were moved to the top side because, well, it is 21 minutes and Cassiopeia loves killing Barons. So right now, the focus from Samsung Galaxy is going to be around red side control. And you look at the side of BBQ, they have a lot of people that can put down wards pretty safely. Jarvan, Gragas, both of them have dashes. Alistar is super tanky. They will be able to inch vision forward, but contesting the control wards will once again be a bit of a bridge too far for BBQ. And this is kind of the meanwhile situations. We haven't really mentioned Ruler's name. 2 of those items completed, working his way towards the 3rd item. May not be the Infinity Edge with the long sword in his inventory, but starting to get together and starting to become a teamfight threat in his own mind.
Samsung is pushing forward, trying to clear out any vision that might be established here from BBQ. On that one ward, but it's seems like that might be a bridge too far. In the meantime, QV down here will flash away from the Cataclysm as Temp does arrive. Keeps himself alive for the moment. Will be without that ultimate. Now QV being thrown into the bouncing castle. Will get popped through him. Has Glacial Fissure answering with his own knock-up onto Bless and Totoro. Root comes through onto Bless. That's still going to be pretty tanky here with the Gragas, but this does allow Samsung to finally clear out the control ward.
Yeah, Ambition's build, rushing the Adaptive Helm, is about doing face checks like you see right now and pushing up the vision. It's just a game of vision. Much of the excitement has actually been on the minimap in this particular game with how brazenly Samsung have been able to push up their vision, but when you have someone as strong as Crown, when Ruler's hitting his item spikes as well, both of them on champions they're playing for the first time in the summer season, that is good reading for any Samsung fan.
And 3rd Ocean Drake is now spawned. Ambition and QV already in the vicinity. See if they want to go ahead and start this one up instead. They have their eyes set on this blue buff at the moment. Now, an enemy smite nearby, you'd have to expect that Ambition should be able to take this one away. It just depends on how much he wants to trade in against Crazy.
How many buffs have BBQ in a row watched be taken away? No, they contested for 1 blue and ended up taking deaths in that scenario. They've given away now 3 of the Ocean Drakes. They've given away a Rift Herald. Are they going to be surrendering a free Baron in the next 5 minutes? Possibility, you'd say. This is the sort of game where they tried to get tricky. They went with the last pick Orianna, flexed the Corki over to bot lane, but it really hasn't meant much, and it's been kind of surgical from the side of Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, it really has. Like I said, just methodical play, not taking any overt risks, and they're still just playing that much cleaner than their opponents. So BBQ, even with the slight deficit that they're in, it's going to be interesting to see if they can make their way, I don't even want to say back into this game at all.
It's a weird scenario, right? Because as you say, like when it comes to gold leads, you're going to be like, well, you know, it's 3,500, 4,000, not massive. But if this was a heart rate monitor, there'd be like almost no signs of life from BBQ, whereas there'll be a beating heart on the side of Samsung, because tempo-wise, this game has been about as one-sided as can be.
Yeah. So need perhaps, you know, a giant wombo engage with that shockwave to come through here for Tempt.
But they haven't been able to pressure any summoners, so hitting that engage is going to be not that reliable.
Ambition walking in fairly blindly. Glacial Fissure will come down, and Crown is pinching in from the top side. That is going to be Bless falling first and foremost, the package to help get Ghost out of there with his life. As he just pokes around from the side, Flash will come through here for Totoro, getting himself away from QV, but already the one pick, the smite eliminated Samsung. How do they want to play this? They have that ward sitting in, the control ward sitting in the Baron pit, so just go ahead and start this one up. Ward comes over the wall from BBQ. They have vision of this. Samsung stick, or do they peel back?
Wave is down, but Flashes are up on the side of Samsung, waiting for the turn.
It's going to be the Cataclysm coming through. Ruler goes low, but immediately you see that Crazy just has to go ahead and hightail out of there. The Baron will go down. Crown is pushing forward, looking for Temp. Flash in from Ambition. Only gets a knock up in onto Crazy as he goes low. Flash into the Venom and Ruler comes up with the kill, looking for a second. Crown is there with the Twin Fangs. Go ahead and scoop that one up for himself. 3 kills delayed coming through there from the side of Samsung, and they get the Baron.
And Ruler's had enough time kiting backwards on Varus. He gets to play the Xayah, and surprisingly, going Rambo engage mode on the Xayah. They knew they had enough damage through the Featherstorm and the Blade Core. They'll walk up, happily take an inner turret as well. Ended up being that free Baron we talked about, Achilles, really. In most senses of the word, they back away, and now the gold lead starts to mirror the tempo advantage for Samsung.
I mean, what did it cost them? 3 flashes, all used aggressively from Samsung. We'll go ahead and get a nice little replay here.
And they're so high health that the Cataclysm comes in, and 4 people just stay on the Baron. They're not even worried at all. Of course, no smite threat coming through from BBQ. But watch Ruler here, who, like we said, last time he played was that SKT series, where in game 1 especially, Orb walking back, kiting like a god. And against the Kassadin and other backline engage. This time, going aggressive, diving in. Usually, Xayah and Cassiopeia are thought of as kite-back champions. We talk about how they function best when the enemy's coming to them. When you're this far ahead and you can use your flash brazenly and not have things to respect in the future, they can also go forward.
Well, very nicely done there. Puts himself on the board with a kill, has those 3 assists as well. But, I mean, compared to our first series, it's been significantly slower. That was a bit of a slaughter fest, I suppose, on both sides, especially in game number 1.
It's been a slaughter fest, but it's not the sort of slaughter fest we're used to.
Yeah. Kills don't really indicate it, but
a macro slaughter
now.
fest.
Yeah.
I mean, any team in the world can watch this game and learn something, because Samsung has been so clean, so surgical, that you can watch this game and it will inform your own play in a positive way. You'll take something from it because it has been so good from Samsung Galaxy.
They just have BBQ in a chokehold right now, and they are just continuously adding that pressure. So they look for that first inhib turret up here in the top lane. In the meantime, Cube knocking down that final inner. Advancing the gold lead, advancing the minion waves. All going to be empowered by Baron. A couple more hits here from Ruler will knock down this turret.
I got that turret really low earlier, I guess. I didn't notice the inhibitor turret damage, but base is broken on the first Baron buff.
Yeah, the first push, like BBQ just couldn't really work their way up there, so just now have to surrender it. The damage has been done. Now they're looking for this. Blitz throwing out.
Block from JJ.
Yeah, has the Unbreakable up, so not going to be sending them anywhere. This will be sending Bless to the grave yet again. Gragas goes down, inhib line. Will now be shattered here by Samsung. 3:30 minutes, and they're not done yet. They're looking for more, so getting the maximum out of this Baron buff.
I mean, Core JJ has been on point with blocking Weaver's walls in this game, so on point with the explosive cast. Bless, for the first time, felt empowered to make something happen after watching a million objectives go down and just denied by the Unbreakable. 3 inhibitors go down. I mean, it's not going to be a perfect game, but it's about as clean as can be in spite of that.
Yep. So 3 inhibs down, all off the 1 Baron buff, looking for the finish. Petrifying Gaze comes through, gets a lot of damage in, but doesn't find any stuns. Glacial Fissure will get the pop-up here onto Totoro. Seems like he can make it back safely. Flag and drag through. Does pop-up Cuvée and Crown. As he goes dangerously low, just ghosting his way around the fight. Turning around this one, trying to keep himself alive. Ruler as well.
But the game won't end here. The health bar's really low on the carries for Samsung.
And almost overstepping their boundaries here. Cuvée does make it back in onto Skarl, but taking too much damage. Samsung, they will basically shatter the base. They basically won the game, but it will be extended for a little bit longer. So not going to get that free 30-minute finish, but instead, they can just go ahead, pick up an Infernal Drake, and make it that much easier for them.
Samsung have really grasped for 2 open hands the week off they had after beating SKT, because at Rift Rivals, we didn't see this Samsung Galaxy. They were pretty poor. They got 2 wins on the first day, but not in really triumphant fashion by any means against the opposition they faced on day 1, and then, of course, famously lost alongside SKT on the final day of Rift Rivals. Beat SKT with the Sejuani Braum. Don't even play the Sejuani when it's available in this game, although Braum remains a cornerstone of the comps they enjoy to run, and Core JJ looks so great on it.
The first pick Braum, too.
Yep, and they're certainly making it worth the first pick with the use of the Unbreakable. And then they just come up with a game like this that is so clean. And Crown, he's the one who was under the microscope at Rift Rival because he had a weak couple of weeks. The moment that he got a solo kill in mid, you kind of knew what was going to come after.
Yeah, been absolutely impressive thus far. Cuvée going in, has the charge, and Tempt is under fire, takes so much damage. Throwing out that shockwave, but Bless is yet again going to be the first one that falls. Does get the wrap up here onto Cuvée, but it's just not enough damage to even come close really to taking down that Kled. Totoro's going to fall, and that's just going to be the Nexus under fire. BBQ just strangled out of this game, and Tempt, he'll die right at the end as Crown puts another kill on the board. 9-1 at the end. Samsung absolutely destroy BBQ.
Surgical. Surgical is the way I would put it. Methodical, surgical, whatever you want to call it.
They dissected them.
They did. The warding especially, the amount of control wards they were able to push up. They decided they wanted to win the bot side, 4 control wards down. They went top side, 4 control wards down. Everything they did made sense, and we haven't necessarily seen that from some of our better teams. They've taken more brazen risks. They didn't need to take any risks. As we said, the checklist was assembled, it was followed, almost no mistakes, short of a perfect game maybe for Samsung Galaxy. But BBQ, they were almost voyeurs watching as everything happened around them, and by the end, the game was over.
Yeah, it's just one of those this is fine moments, you know. nothing that they can do about it, just kind of accepted their fate.
You know, they were waiting for the call. Is this the one we contest for? Is this the one? Is this the one? And it never was. It was never the one.
Their best moment was when Bless tried to throw that explosive cast when Core JJ had the Unbreakable. That was the opening. And,
they went for the go button with 3 inhibitors down.
Yeah. Core JJ says, you shall not pass. Doesn't let them into that opening. And, well, that was just about the end of the game right there in that moment.
And that was with Samsung Galaxy skipping over all their normal picks, showing us something new, and still being surgical.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful stuff from Samsung. We'll see if they keep it up for game number 2, or BBQ will cook up something to try to surprise us. That wasn't even the joke that I had intended, but we'll go with it anyway.
They call it a special menu when they have a monthly special. They're going to need it. They're going to take a single game from a Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, that was just absolutely clean play. So bouncing back from that could be very difficult, not just because, they're going against the #1 team in the league, but just because of the mental state that you might be in after getting defeated like that. But we're going to go to a quick break, guys. When we come